Look, today we're talking about the plague. Yes, I know what everyone's thinking. Teleporting space turtles are not a thing.
Hello.
Hello, and in this video we are talking about the Plague for Deadzone 3rd edition. Now, the Plague itself started off as a relic. Well, started off in an alien relic. No one knows if it was put there by accident or on purpose. It's anyone's guess. This is in the far off history of the Warpath universe, or Deadzone 1st edition, what have you. GPS scientists found it and they released what was in the relic, the Plague. Now, depending on your race and how high up the infection ladder you are, will depend on what you mutate into. The biggest ones are the stage 1s. These include things such as the Plague Lord, or I believe the Aberration is a stage 1, or the Corruption, which we'll get onto, and they are sort of like the higher ups, or in the Plague Lord's case or in the Aberration's case is just a massive brute that just thwacks things and just really hurts things. And then you've got lower down the ladder, you've got the stage 2s, which don't have the intelligence of the stage 1 Plague Lords, but they are vicious as all hell. These include things like the Leapers, the Teratons, the Bursters, and the Murder Birds. And they can still infect people, and what they turn into is the stage 3s. Now, they can't infect people, however, they can still use tools, weapons, equipment, pilot and drive vehicles like they did when they weren't infected. Now, when the plague happens, and it happens on a GCPS planet or a fairly well known planet, it gets cordoned off by the Council of Seven, the Enforcers and whatnot. But like all sci-fi universes and stories, there's always secret routes to get into the planet. This is where the stage 3s come in, because even though the stage 1 and 2s can't pilot ships, the stage 3s can. So they contain the stage 1s and stage 2s, because if the stage 1s get out, then the plague can propagate and continue en masse. If the stage 1s die, then yeah, some will get infected, but the infection will condense somewhat. So if the stage 1s get out, it's really bad. If the stage 3s go off planet, then easy enough to kill them and that's it. So yeah, they are a problem, or one of the biggest problems for the Council of Seven and the GCPS at large. However, they do have a sort of secret weapon up their sleeve. Not a one that they own, in that it is the Marauders, because greenskins are immune to the plague. It's not clear why, but they cannot be infected, so when there's a plague outbreak, they tend to hire the Marauders to do their work and to make sure they can get any information and equipment they need to get off as soon as possible, and possibly to eliminate plague if they able to. So, if you're following along in the force list book, you'll need to start on page 92. So these are the leaders, starting with the Stage 1A Plague Lord. Speed 1, this is very slow, no range stat, fight of 3, survival 4, armour 2, 4 hit points, size 3, 40mm base. Recon 5 plus, tactician 2 and tough. The splat is mutation. The active model manifests mutation for the rest of the round. On each activation of this model, choose from Resilient 1, Frenzy 1, increase AP of one close combat weapon by 1, or increase armour of model by 1. That's a nice option. It basically gives you options on how you want them to be upgraded. Do you want them to have a defensive temporary upgrade? Do you want to have them give them a offensive temporary upgrade? Genuinely, I would say probably Resilient 1, I'd say, is the worst one. The reason being is that there are a lot of good close combat models in the Plague, and there's a lot of models with AP in close combat and a fair few with armour. Not many with high armour unless you count the really big stuff, I grant you, but it's an option. You could put it on the Plague Strider. I don't see why not. So you could make the Plague Strider armour 4. I suppose if it's got a chainsaw, you could make it AP 3 or AP 2 with Frenzy 2. Yeah, it's got that. But yeah, Resilient 1 I'd say is the worst, but still not bad. It's kind of the worst of a not bad bunch. It's got one weapon option, Teeth and Claws, which is close combat, AP 1, Frenzy 1, 4 reach points, 36 points. Plague Lord is one a lot of people go for. A fair few go for the General as well, but for those point, most people go for the Plague Lord because of how good it is and how hard it is to kill. Saying that though, there are some way more powerful models out there, so maybe nowadays it's not necessarily the one you'll possibly take for a leader, but it's still a really good option. It ain't cheap though. Next we have the Stage 3A General. Speed 2-3, range of 5, fight of 5, survival 5, no armour, 2 hit points, size 1, 25mm base. Recon 4 plus, tactician 1. The splat is infection. When an enemy model is killed, raise it again as a stage 3Z, as a zombie. Swap the dead enemy model for a pinned and activated stage 3Z in the same cube. The stage 3Z is counted as part of your strike team, which isn't really a downside because they're not worth any victory points, so it's not really a downside. It's got 2 weapons for its loadout. It's got a pistol, which is range 3, and a combat knife, which is close combat, frenzy 1, 2 victory points and 18 points. It's the cheapest of the leaders, and the splat is pretty decent because zombies are cheap and not worth any victory points. However, they aren't as useless as you may think. We'll get on to what they can do. Finally, for the leaders, we have the Stage 2A Sentinent. This is a new model and it's kind of based on the Reb Simian Brawlers. If you played Dreadball or Star Saga and got the Rebs expansion, you'll know what these look like. It's basically that, but more mutated and plague-like, essentially. Speed 2-3, no range stat, fight 4, survival 4, armour 1, 4 hit points, size 3, 40mm base. Agile, Recon 6 plus, Tactician 1. Its splat is Thirst for Blood. Stage 2A, B, 2B or Aberration model gains +1 speed for sprint actions for the rest of the round. In addition, the model will not need to test for Rampage at the start of its activation this round, which is pretty brilliant because all apart from the Stage 2Bs have, I think they have Rampage on them. The no, the boomers don't. Aberrations do. Yeah, it doesn't work on the bursters, but does work on the leapers and the aberrations, which kind of tells you kind of want to take a few in this list if you take the sentient to get the most out of it. However, +1 speed, it's going to make them evil in close combat. The leapers are going to be speed 3 for a sprint. Same for the bursters and the aberrations. Yeah, they're all going to be speed 3 for a sprint, so that's going to be nasty. That's going to be really nasty. It's only got one weapon, the Teeth and Claws, which are the same as the Plague Lord, except it's got no AP. Don't know why it's not changed the name a bit. Hey ho. 2 victory points and 26 points. It's not bad. It's kind of a midpoint between the General and the Plague Lord. It's more expensive than the General, but it's better overall. It's not as good as Plague Lord, but it's faster and it's cheaper, and it can make leapers, bursters and aberrations really fast. And don't work for Rampage. It'd be interesting to see how this works. I'd have thought it's supposed to have AP on the weapon, but hey ho. Next we have the troops and specialists starting on page 93. First we have the Stage 3A Ghoul. Speed 2-3, range of 6, fight of 5, survive of 5, no armour, 2 hit points, size 1, 25mm base. They all come with Hacker. So you've got 2 troop options. You've got the rifle, which is range 6 to rapid fire, 1 victory point, 10 points. You've got the flamethrower, which is range 2, it burns, 1 victory point, also 10 points. They're not bad actually. But yeah, I'd probably go for the flamethrower if you want, because there's cheaper troops, and yeah, you've got a rifle for a troop, but shooting on 6s, and you are saving points on taking some of the other troop options, such as the zombie, which a lot of people take. You'll see why. So yeah, a troop Stage 3A flamethrower for me. There are 2 specialist options. First one is HMG, range 6, suppression, weight of fire 1, 1 victory point, 12 points. And the grenade launcher, which is range 5, heavy, indirect, frag 3, 2 victory points and 15 points. Both of these are pretty decent. The HMG gives some well needed suppression, which, yes, there's the indirect weapons from the grenade launcher and mortar, we'll get onto that later, but for direct suppression weapons, the HMG ain't bad. It is short range, yes, but 12 points for HMG, that's nothing, and it's only 1 victory point. It's really cheap for what it does, and hey, even if you don't do damage, you're suppressing things, which could be a better bonus, let's face it. Next we have the Stage 3D Hellhound. Speed 2-3, no range stat, fight of 5, survive of 5, no armour, 2 hit points, size 1, 25mm base. It's got a beast. It's a troop, teeth and claws, close combat, no AP, frenzy 1, 1 victory point, 7 points. So it's 3 points cheaper than a Stage 3A. It's fast. No, it's the same speed. Only difference is it's 3 points cheaper and it's got frenzy 1 in close combat. Plus also the models are pretty low to the ground, so it's going to be really easy to hide them behind cover So I'd see what you think about these. I really would. Next we have the Stage 3Z Zombie. Speed 1, 2, no range stat, fight 5, survive 6, no armour, 1 hit point, size 2, size 1, 25mm base. Beast, Horde, its troop with teeth and claws, no victory points, 6 points. Right, the reason why a lot of people take zombies is they are really, really cheap. Survivor 6 is not great, but it does mean you're surviving a third of the time. Well, three out of 8 times you'll survive. Something like that anyway. It's got a horde, so if you take a fair few and they're all clumped up, you're getting a hell of a lot of extra dice, and fighting on 5s, that's not bad. Plus, if you're adding the Stage 3A General, you're adding more and more plague zombies, and it's going to hurt more and more. I like them because they're cheap, effectively, but fighting on 5s, that's still nothing to sniff about. That can potentially be really, really decent. Next we have the Stage 2A Leaper. Speed 1, 2, no range stat, fight 4, survive 4, 1 armour, 3 hit points, size 2, 40mm base. It's got Agile and Rampage. It's troop with teeth and claws, frenzy 1, 2 victory points and 16 points. They are the same points cost as an Enforcer. Got more hit points, got better fight stat. It's got Rampage, which if that's active it will be bad for you on a roll of 1 or 2, and it will be good on a roll of a 8. 16 points for what it is ain't bad, but you are risking the Rampage. That's really the only thing you're risking. If I'm honest, anything else, it's not bad. It's cheap. Still pretty cheap for what it does. Really cheap for what it does. It's not a beast, so you can pick up items. Next we have the Stage 3A Weapons Team. Speed of 1, 2, range of 5, fight of 6, survive 5, no armour, 4 hit points, size 3, 60mm base. It's a specialist. You've got 1 weapon option, the Mortar, range 8, no AP, heavy, indirect, thread 4, 3 victory points and 22 points. A lot of people go for a weapons team because mortars are great. As long as the cube has no roof on it, you can just pop mortars over and just blast them. It might not do damage, but you'll pin them and potentially throw them around, potentially closer to you, which for a lot of plague stuff you really want. There are some where you want them to blast them back, but because you've got a lot of good close combat stuff, it's not really an issue. For 22 points for what it does, I'd say it's pretty decent. Range of 5 means even if you need 2 successes with the indirect, still pretty good. Yes, it's heavy, which means you can't move and shoot, which is a little bit of a problem, but with range 8 you're not going to be moving that far, let's be honest. Next is the Murder Birds. Speed of 2, 3, no range stat, fight of 4, survival of 5, armour none, 4 hit points, size 2, 40mm base. Beast and flight. It's a specialist with beacon talons, which is close combat. 2 victory points and 18 points. This one's a bit of a weird one, if I am completely honest. It's got good hit points, it's got good fight value, it's got flight, which means you can just go from one high up place straight over to another, no problem. 2 victory points is not bad, 18 points, it's alright. The problem is, because of what else is there, it's going to have a problem of getting in. The thing that's saving it is it's got flight and 4 hit points, and for a size 2 model that's pretty decent. The problem is, this is one of the models that Mantic keeps running out of at the time of recording. That might have changed. Put in the comments below if it has. I shall potentially edit the video to say otherwise if it has. Not only that, it used to have tough. It doesn't have tough anymore, which I can understand why, but it means it's sort of in constant competition with some of the other great close combats for being taken. And the problem is, it's really, really hard to go for it when some of the other choices are not that many points more for a lot of better stuff, as you'll find out. So the Murder Birds are a soft recommend, a very soft recommend, I think. Next we have the Stage 2B Burster. Speed 1-2, range of 6, fight of 5, survive 4, no armour, 3 hit points, size 1, 40mm base. It's got boom 4. So basically that means when it dies, or as a special action in your turn, when this model activates, it basically blows up, and anyone in the same cube as it takes a 4 dice frag grenade, essentially. The model dies, but it might take something else out with it. It's a specialist, and it's got something called Puss Burst. Range 2, AP 1, it burns, 1 victory point, 14 points. It used to have armour, but I think giving it a AP 1, it burns weapon is probably the better call, I think. 14 points, it's a bit more expensive than it used to be, but I think it's not too bad. It's cheap for a specialist that can basically explode and burn things. It's 4 points more than a ghoul with a flamethrower, but it's got more health, it's got a better survive stat, and it's got AP on its flamer, which the flamethrower hasn't. I can see a point in this. Its close combat capabilities are a bit naff, but there we are. Next we have the Plague Teraton. Speed of 1-2, no range stat, fight of 4, survival of 5, 1 armour, 4 hit points, size 3, 40mm base. It's got teleport and tough. It's got 1 close combat weapon in its specialist. It's got claws, which are close combat, AP 1, knockback, 3 victory points and 24 points. Plague Teraton's brilliant, I think. Really, really good. Fight's pretty decent. It can teleport, so as a long action it can go basically through walls or up high, just because it can. It's also tough, which means it's going to be really hard to kill. It's got AP on its claws, which finally it didn't have for a long time. And for 24 points, it's really good. Come to think of it, I don't think I've seen many Plague Forces without a Plague Teraton. Although with the new models that are coming out, that may change. I'll let you be the judge of that. Finally, we have the Plague Swarm. Speed 1-2, no range stat, fight of 3, survival of 5, no armour, 3 hit points, size 2, 40mm base. It's got Agile, Beast and Tough. And got Horde. Odd. But hey ho, it's a specialist. It's got Acidic Bite, which is close combat, AP2, 2 victory points, 20 points. The Plague Teraton and the Plague Swarm are the main reasons I say it's a little bit hard for the Murder Birds. Because the Teraton is 6 points more and the Plague Swarm is only 2 points more. Yes, the Murder Birds have got Flight, which gives it that sort of mobility edge, and it's faster. But it hasn't got the concrete close combat abilities of the Swarm and the Teraton. The Teraton, I'd say, is the best of the 3 overall, with the Plague Swarm coming a close second. The only reason it's not any near it's not got so much health, and its surviving capabilities are a little bit worse. but it has got tough. It fights on 3s with AP2. It's only 2 victory points and 20 points. That is nuts, man. That really is. Yeah. I've seen most, like I said, I've seen most Plague Forces. I've seen with the Teraton and possibly the Plague Swarm. I've not seen many recently with Murder Birds, and this is possibly why it doesn't have the direct close combat capabilities of the Teraton and the Swarm. So next we have the support, starting on page 95. First one is the Plague Strider. Speed 1-2, range of 5, fight of 4, survival 5, armor 3, 5 hit points, size 4, 60 mil. Base. Walker. There are 3 options, starting with the Urban Assault Strider. Chainsaw, which is close combat, AP 2, frenzy 1. Assault Flamer, which is range 2, AP 1, it burns, 5 victory points and 44 points. I can kind of see why that is, because it fights on 4s. The Heavy Supports version, Heavy Burst Laser, range 10, weight to fire 2, suppression, 4 victory points, 40 points. And the Tank Buster, it's got a Polaris Cannon, range 10, AP 4, 4 victory points, 42 points. You've got 2 optional upgrades. Each Strider can only have 1 upgrade, so you can't have both of them. The Smoke Launchers, which are range 3, Grenade, Smoke, 1 use only, an extra 3 points, and the Shoulder Rockets, which are also range 3, Grenade, Frag 3, 1 use only, and an extra 6 points. The Urban Assault Strider is the most expensive, but like I said, it fights on 4s, that's why it is what it is. The Heavy Burst Laser, I can kind of see the point of, if you want a more aggressive and bigger, in all ways, shape and forms, of the Ghoul with a HMG, this is kind of what it is. Shoots on 5s, weight to fire 2 with suppression, and range 10. I mean, it's not necessarily about suppressing people. With a range 10 and weight to fire 2, it's still going to hurt a bit. The Polaris Cannon is for anti-armor targets, things like as other Striders, Iron Ancestors, and the like. The rocket launchers and the smoke launchers, they're alright, but for the points cost of the shoulder rockets, you can take another zombie. Might as well go that road. I think they all have uses here. The thing is, the Plague doesn't have many good ranged options, and a lot of those range options don't have any AP, I don't think. The Burster does. I don't think the Ghoul don't. Does the other thing do? Corruption does, but range 1, so it's really neither here nor there. So if you want a fairly if you want a fairly decent range thing with AP or suppression capabilities, or a good close combat with a flamer, this isn't really too bad. All under 50 points. The thing is, because of how cheap the Hellhounds and Zombies are, you can potentially fit 2 or 3 of these in a 150 point force. Can you? 9 zombies, because you're going to have 3 troops for support, is 54 points. General is 72. Cheapest Strider, make it 120 for 3. Okay, 200 points, you can have 3. Not really a bad thing either. And you've got 9 plague zombies. And if you have a general can potentially have more. That's not a bad thing, is it really? Next we have the Aberration. Speed 1, 2, no range stat, fight of 5, survive 4, no, sorry, armor 1, 5 hit points, size 4, 60mm base. Beast, Frenzy 1, Rampage and Tough. Didn't used to have Frenzy, like it needs it. It's got Teeth and Claws, which is close combat, AP 1, knockback and smash 1. 4 victory points, 40 points. That is ridiculous. It's size 4, so potentially it's getting an extra dice in close combat because it's bigger. It's also got Frenzy, fight on 3s. It's also got Smash 1, which means you're automatically getting an extra dice in close combat. So, without any extra dice, you are, for the most part, fighting on 5 dice in close combat, needing 3s to hit. That is horrible. Rampage is a risk, I grant you, but it's mitigated somewhat by the fact it's got Tough. You could say it's mitigated somewhat more as well because it's got armour, but let's face it, nowadays there is a lot of AP weapons as troops, so that's not really the biggest deciding factor here, let's be honest. The Aberration is still a really good combat option. You've just got to be careful of the Frenzy. Sorry, the Rampage. That's the only thing you've got to be careful of, I'd say. Next we have the newest thing for the, well, and the sentient, for the Plague, the Corruption. Speed 1, 2, range of 4, fight of 3, survival 5, 1 armour, 7 hit points, size 4, 60mm base, Beast. It's got 3 weapons. It's got a club, which is range 1, AP 1 knockback. It's got Vicious Claws, which is close combat, Smash 1 and Frenzy 1. It's got Wicked Blades, which are AP 2, Frenzy 3, close combat. 4 victory points, 44 points. I'd have thought it'd be 5 victory points considering what it does and what it's got, but hey ho, hey. There's no model, well, I say there's no model for this. On page 98 where it shows the models, sorry, not on page 98, in the rule book, on page, let's see, where is it? On page, yes, on page 11 it will show a, I'll just bring it here somewhat so you can see it. If you can see it here, there we go. That is what the Corruption looks like. I've no idea how the Plague managed to give it a sword like that, but there we go. For 7 hit points, and considering it's got the same hit points as the Goliath, it really doesn't look that big a model. But hey, it's something new, and because it hasn't got Rampage, I could see this overtaking the Aberration as the new big support option for the Plague. However, it hasn't got Tough, and let's not beat around the bush, Tough is really fantastic. In a way, being better than potentially 1 or 2 points of armour, because Tough isn't ignored by AP. You've got tons of options. You've got a basic ranged weapon, which I can't see the point, if I'm honest. Shooting on 4s, I suppose, because why has it even got a ranged weapon? I mean, how big is this club? Is it just that steel bar it's got? Is it like some sort of halberd where it can reach like 4 foot in front of it? Is that what we're talking about? Okay, fine. You've got the Wicked Blades, and the Vicious Claws, so you've either got AP and good Frenzy, or a bit of Frenzy and an extra dice. And fighting on 3s, and size 4, so you are potentially getting 5 dice if you use the Vicious Claws, even though you haven't got AP. So swings and roundabouts. Corruption's good. I can't fault it. It's really good. It hasn't got tough, but it's got 7 hit points. And it's got options for how you deal with an opponent, which are always good. Next we have the Living Legends, starting on page 96. First one is Subject 901. Speed of 1-2, no range stat, fight 4, survival 4, armor 1, 4 hit points, size 2, 40mm base. Frenzy 2, Tactician 1. It's got Teeth and Claws, which is close combat, AP 1, 3 victory points and 24 points. I suppose with the Tactician, if your leader dies, you've got that going for it. It's all shades of alright. The problem is, it's kind of like the Murder Birds in a way. The Plague Swarm and the Terraton are really good. Actually, I'd say this is one you probably would take in a Plague Force if you haven't got a Terraton or a Swarm. Same points cost as a Terraton. It's got Tactician and Frenzy. What's the fight stat of the Terraton? 5. Survives better, I guess. It's got Frenzy 2. Size 2, so it's a bit smaller, but can fit more stuff in, I guess. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's better than Murder Birds, I'd say, but that's just me. Next we have Dr. Gail Simmons. Speed of 1-2, range of 6, fight of 5, survival of 3. No armour, 2 hit points, size 1, 25mm base, medic, tactician 1 and tough. Comes with a pistol, range 3, 2 victory points, 18 points. She is pretty good as a support option. And you want to pair her up with a big monster you can hang around with. Now obviously, because you can only have 4 size worth of things, you can't have a size 4 and her in the same cube. You can, however, have a Plague Lord and her in the same cube. And because she's got medic, it gives the model in the same cube as it Resilient 1, and as an action it can heal the model it's with. And because Gail Simmons has got tough and survives on 3s, it's going to be really hard to take her down. Really hard. And because the Plague Lord's in the same cube as her, she'll always have an extra dice for having the companion. Nice. Unless she's, of course, she's blasted away by a grenade or something. Swings and roundabouts, I guess. I reckon she's brilliant. I really do. Next we have items on page 97. Starting with ammo, 2 points. You can have as much as you want, no limit. AP ammo is 4 points. You can only have 4 of them. Grenade, frag 3 are 6 points, no limit. Smoke grenades are 3 points, no limit. And combat blades are 2 points, no limit. They have some of the best close combat capabilities in the game. They also have some of the fastest models in the game. Their shooting capabilities are not great, and your options in general aren't amazing. You haven't got a huge amount of models in your force, which is a shame, but narrows it down somewhat. Plus, it doesn't really need to have a vast library of models, considering you've got good suppression options. You've also got good, like I said, good close combat options. None of the leaders are weak. There's a point to having any of them, if I'm honest. Even though I said the Murder Birds don't really seem to be any good anymore, I still think they have a place. They've got good hit points and they've got flight, so you can move them from high building to high building, no problem whatsoever. It's just no AP in close combat, which a lot of them do have. The smaller things are horrendously cheap, so you can just splatter the town out with ghouls, zombies and hellhounds, and it's not really going to affect you that much, if I'm honest. You could just have a load of zombies, which is one of the trump cards of the plague because they are so cheap and don't take up any victory points. So you could have a lot of them and a lot of big things to go alongside them. So yeah, they are a really good starter faction to get into model, well, a force that doesn't have good armour for your small stuff, but could do suppression options, and you leave the close combat to your big stuff, which the plague has. Not to say that their shooting is rubbish, it's just not as good as other forces, which kind of expected, really, considering what they are and what they're about. Their Striders are still pretty decent, although you could say they're more geared to close combat, though shooting on 5s, range capabilities, not bad. Apart from the Strider and the mortars, their range capabilities are a bit short range also. Biggest being the HMG and the grenade launchers being range 5 and 6. So yeah, unless you're using Striders and mortars, which a lot of players do use mortars, you ain't going to be finding a lot of range capabilities. The plague are there to get in there and mash the enemy to pieces as quickly as possible. So that's it for this video. Goodbye for now.